Okay, so what we'll do here in this video is we're just going to do kind of ease of life, a couple ease of life things here, like being able to go back to the user dashboard. We'll hook that up like we did in the create user form, and then we'll build out the table for the logs that we want to show. All right, so back to our editor and back over to user logs. And what we want to put in here is a button small.btn-outline-primary. And within that, i.fas.fa-chevron-left. One other class we want to put here is maybe ml-3. Let's see what that looks like up here, actually. We'll compare that to what we have here, mr-3. Yeah, margin left 3, no, margin right 3. Okay, perfect. And what we want to do is when this is clicked, we just want to emit view dashboard in there like so. Okay. Let's go ahead and we'll view the logs up here. Okay, we'll probably run into an issue. Okay, so right now this isn't compiling for some reason. The best way to manage this is click on it, go, actually let's see what happens when we do this. Control C. Okay, go Control C, Command C, we'll terminate that job, and then we'll run it again. And then that should, basically Webpack should pick this up when changes are made and automatically update it for us. While it's doing that, we'll go ahead and we'll create our users table. So table.table, and then we'll add a hover element to that as well. Hover, okay, and we're going to add some headings to this. So probably want to put in there, you know, what log type is it? Okay, well that's going to be our slug essentially that comes through. We want to know what message was sent through with it, and we want to know, you know, when was it created, and we might want to send that through as a prettier date, append that to the data we receive. And I think we'll leave actions out for now. There's really no actions we need to take on individual logs in there. Create a tbody element in here. We'll say tr. Oh, I forgot to add tr up here. Okay, let's plug that in there. Clean this up a little bit. Okay, perfect. tr td, and we're going to just put in log.slug. I don't know why I'm formatting it this way. Yeah, we'll get into a rhythm here in a moment. Log.slug, then we want to do log.message, and the created at, I'm just going to call this pretty date, and then we'll add a pretty date attribute to our model that will then get passed through the API. Down here, what we need to add is, again, data. Just like you saw on our main page when we were bringing in the users, we're going to want to have a results data point. So this is going to be our paginated results are going to go in here. And then we want to put in a params as well. We'll say page equals 1. And then we can latch onto those items in there. Okay. Now, ultimately, when we receive that information, so first of all, we only want it to load if results are not equal to null in there. Okay, so we'll say v-4, we use the v4 directive, and we're going to say log in results dot data, and then that will spit that out. So now what we need to do is create the ability to actually retrieve those logs. We're going to do that with a getLogs method. And let's see here. We'll go axios.get. We'll say data user logs. And then we'll add the actual user's information, their ID for that one. And we'll also pass through our params, like you saw when pulling out users. And so we'll say this dot params in this instance. Once we retrieve those logs, we will assign this dot results equal to response dot data dot results, like we saw previously. Now let's go ahead into our data route data, and let's create a logs category. Now in here, I want to call these first. So actually, what's going on here? Okay, perfect. Our route groups, I'm going to put towards the top just so we don't have anything conflict in the future or now. So we'll say prefix users logs, and we're going to put that in a namespace of logs. And we'll set our group using the callback function instead of sending it out to an actual file. And under get, we'll have to specify the user. Okay. And so we'll say user logs controller at what should we say? Should it be under show or should it be under index? I'll do this under index. That's one option we have there, right? So let's go ahead, let's create that controller. And that's going to be under data, users, logs, backslash user logs controller. Okay, so under our index methods, first of all, public function index, we are going to specify the user, so Control-Alt-I. Actually, in this case, we don't need to bring that, because we just need to bring in the ID of the actual user, right? So for now, that's what, well, actually, let's resolve it, because we might use this route for the actual user to pick up and use, right? Down the line. So we'll leave it like this for now. And we're going to say, we'll say logs equal user log. So we need to bring in that namespace. And we'll have to say, I'm going to say by user. And here you're going to learn how to work with user scopes. But we'll say user-id in this case. And then we're going to want to start with the latest. And we're going to paginate our results. And because this is logs, we'll put about 50 results per page. Now, we can return a response, some JSON data, and we'll say results equals $logs. Now we could get a little bit cheeky here. I say cheeky, it's not really cheeky, but we could get a little bit, save ourselves some lines of code, make it look a little cleaner by doing it this way. All right. Now, one other thing I want to add to this particular is a piece of middleware, which will complete the middleware in the next section. But let's create our constructor here for now, and we'll create some middleware that basically says, okay, well, if the person is an administrator, then it needs to pass this particular criteria. So we should be able to bring this in. The other thing we need to do is go over to user log, go to definition, and we're going to create a scope for this one. So it basically, instead of writing out where and then putting our query within there, what the elements are, this is always going to send the same query through. So we're going to say scope by user. And I say by user instead of user in this case because the user might actually be a relationship that we end up hooking up to this after. So we'll say by user, we're going to have to pass in there query, and we'll have to pass in there user ID. Okay, so in here we'll say return query dash where, just like we were creating any normal query, and we'll say user underscore ID equals $user underscore ID, and we're good to go in there. Okay, now let's see where we're at here. Let's go to our latest one. Okay, I'm going to refresh this. Let's see if we can't pull up our latest one. So this one should have a created log for it set up. Maybe there is no log set up for it. Let's see what user ID has that. User log, latest first, created Tyson London 1, created user ID, 410. Let's go back up to user logs. Oh, we haven't actually called it. Okay, twice we're gonna want to call this in two different areas. Once when the user changes and once when it's mounted. So this dot get logs, what we need to do there. So let's do this right now. Okay. Failed in this, status of 404. Okay, so what is our issue? Data users. Okay. Okay, perfect. So that all gets pulled in as it should for this particular user that gets pulled in. So the next video we're going to look at adding some attributes to this, and we'll look at creating a factory for our user logs so that we can create a whole bunch of user logs, and then we can basically show a lot of data so that we can then do some pagination. All right, see you in the next one.